How can I feel pleasure when having sex or achieve a higher sex drive after having dealt with vaginismus?
Mm, yeah, good question. So, uh, what I don't know. Having dealt with vaginismus, is part of the question that causes a hang up for me.
Yeah.
'Cause it makes me wonder what does that mean? Having dealt with it, does that mean we still experience it on an ongoing basis? Does it mean like we no longer experience that, and are kind of dealing with the aftermath of it? So there's a few different ways to answer it. Um, if you are dealing with vaginismus and you receive treatment through our practice, one of the things that we're going to work on with you and your spouse is really how to redeem your sexual relationship and to really enjoy having a fun, fulfilling sex life between the two of you as a part of the vaginismus treatment. And so I'm assuming that the dealing with it is kind of through some other either self-help methodology, or sometimes gals will experience vaginismus and a lot of pain and difficulty when they're newly married and before their first child. And there's a lot of damage that's done to their sex life during that time period. Eventually, they get pregnant, and the kind of stretching of the pelvic floor muscles that happens with labor and delivery kind of takes away the physiological pain with intercourse post delivery, but the emotional, relational, psychological damage that's done by the vaginismus in the years leading up to that is still present. And so now the pain's gone, the vaginismus per se is gone, but the effects and the impact of it are still there.
Well, I even think of, we were talking earlier about, different traumas that you can experience. I mean, it's not necessarily like vaginismus is caused by your partner, but I just think of that same kind of bad sexual experience or difficult sexual experience where those emotions kind of stick around.
You're going to be a sex therapist before you're done doing the show, man. And you're picking up so many pieces from talking to the different folks on the team. You're absolutely right that there's a trauma that takes place in the relationship because of the pain that you're experiencing that's involving your sexuality and your spouse. And there's this pairing that takes place where that emotional pain, psychological pain, and physical pain is associated with connecting sexually and associated with connecting sexually with your spouse. And so it creates this emotional aversion. It's kind of like, if I've been poked in the eye before, right? If you've been poked in the eye before and I start kind of doing this, like I start moving towards your eye, and that you're going to wince and pull back well before I get to touching your eyeball, right? Like there's an anticipation of it not being good, and you're going to pull back and away. Well, that emotional aversion that forms from having painful, bad experiences around sex and with your partner causes the body to go, this is not good, not good, and pull back and away from the experience in anticipation of it not being good.
Right. Well, and I even just think, it's kind of your body's way of protecting you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, your body's trying to protect you from something that it's experiences bad. And that doesn't just go away because the pain goes away. Like the aversion hangs out and can continue to be the case. So there's ways to kind of unwind that and to be able to kind of begin to learn how to have positive experiences together, which is the pathway to desire. I'm assuming, Tori, you never have this deep longing and desire to be poked in the eye.
No.
You ever find yourself, you're like, what I could really go for right now? Good poke in the eye. It'd be, no,
It's
never
never
had
a feeling that I've had before. So,
it's not pleasurable. It's not enjoyable. It doesn't feel good, right? We don't long for and we don't desire something that doesn't feel good, right? And so if we've had lots of negative sexual experiences, we're not going to have a desire or a longing to engage and connect sexually, right? And so the part of the unwinding of that is learning to stop doing things that don't feel good, learn how to connect in ways that do feel good, build experiences together that are positive and good. And then that feeds the longing, because we long for things and desire things that feel good, that are pleasurable, that are possible, or are positive for us. And so by building those experiences together, it begins to shift the balance in terms of our brain in expectation, from one of expecting something bad to expecting something good, and eventually helps to satiate that aversion in a way that now there's a positive expectation when approached with sexual stimuli and triggers instead of a negative one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's great. Would you suggest in that kind of situation going to a sex therapist to troubleshoot that, or would you kind of just?
And we definitely do that a lot. Couples come in with sexual aversions and desire disorders and difficulties for a variety of different reasons. We troubleshoot and figure out how we got here, and we put together a plan for how to unwind that. But you can try a self-help route also. There's some great resources like Doug Rosenau's Celebration of Sex. That is, Doug's a Christian author, Christian sex therapist, kind of the founder of the only Christian sex therapy training program in the world. That's where myself and others on the team were trained in sex therapy, the Institute for Sexual Wholeness. His book, Celebration of Sex, has a protocol for kind of learning how to overcome these common challenges. Cliff and Joyce Penner have a great book that we commonly use in our practice called Restoring the Pleasure. Again, Christian authors that can walk through a self-help program for helping folks diagnose what's going on, troubleshoot it together, and learn how to retrain their bodies to engage and respond in positive and healthy ways. Or if you do have some trauma that's a part of your story, there's a book, not by a Christian author, but still very good in treating these difficulties, called The Sexual Healing Journey by Wendy Maltz, that has a protocol for very slowly and gently kind of approaching sexuality for individuals that have had some real sexual trauma as a part of their story. So those become, some self-help things that you can try first. And then if for whatever reason that's not getting you where you're trying to go, or you're running into roadblocks, then connecting with a sex therapist to figure out why that is and what we're getting hung up on can be really helpful.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Josh. So, so good. It's crazy to me, just that link between anxiety and your sexual experience. I mean, it's just insane, the way that God designed our bodies, for that to be such a calming experience, and, anxiety and fear, and the way that that can kind of just make it not what it was designed to be, honestly. Yeah.
How
So
that
good.
can get in the marital relationship, right? We talked about this, before, and it comes up often, but I think it's really part of the enemy's strategic attack on marriages, families, that when you can disrupt and violate and damage the sexual relationship, you can really create disconnection between a couple in a way that undermines their strength as a couple and as a family. So it's I think real strategic on the enemy's part.
Absolutely. And something that, the Lord is, wanting to heal. And he wants
Yes.
to heal marriages and
That
restore
idea.
that relationship.
Yeah, that's something that I talk with couples about. Every couple that I work with around this area is that sex is God's idea. That He thought of it. He rejoices in couples enjoying that part of their relationship together. That brings joy to His heart. And when we ask for His help in finding healing and something that He wants for us to have and have healing in, we can count on His help. And I just see it again and again and again that the Lord helps us redeem those broken parts of our life and relationship, so that we can really enjoy what He wants us to be able to enjoy.